TV, and of course we are out here hooking you up with the best of the best interviews. And today we have a special guest. So guest, please just introduce yourself.
Hi guys, thank you for welcoming me to your 37th radio and TV. This is Big Boy Trev, car enthusiast, businessman, entrepreneur, and of course petrolhead.
Yeah, so you review cars, and that's where many people know you from. So
yes.
I just want to know, like, what made you start reviewing cars? What was the reason behind it?
Well, just like many people who love cars from the word go, it was more about passion, okay? From a very young age, I loved cars, and I had a cousin who was in university then, was studying, you'd call it what, mechanical engineering at Nairobi University. So when he used to come for holidays, he used to come with books about automotive engineering. So he'd come with how pistons work, how an engine work. And at a very tender age of about 8, I used to read those books, and he saw the interest that I had in automotives, and he trained me slowly. And that passion just grew. I mean, I grew up in a family where people loved cars, and I think I took it just to the next level.
Yeah, so from KTN home, that's where I personally got to know about you. So
yeah.
I just want to know, like, did they approach you, or did you approach them with the idea, and how was the reception? Did they like it, or how was it?
Maybe just to give you a brief background, my TV career started 10 years ago. At that time, I was part of a car show called Out of Volt. It used to be on NTV. That was between 2012 and 2016. And it was a wonderful eye-opener, because I got to learn how to produce content about cars then, and of course now to sharpen my skills, because at the end of the day, it's all about sharpening the skills. So being an automotive journalist, it means you need to understand the market. Number 2, you have to understand also automotive principles, and then also look at the dynamics of the market, what is currently happening, what is trending, and also it also just gives you an overview feel of where Kenya is as a country, and East Africa, and then how do we fit in the whole global perspective. So I started 10 years ago, then took a break, and then in 2018 I went back to NTV, now with my own show called Cars with Big Boy Trev. That was 2018, and then soon afterwards, KTN loved the content, and I was poached from NTV to go to KTN. So they love the concept. It's unique. Nobody has done it before. I've inspired so many people that are doing car shows now and doing YouTube videos, which I feel proud that at least I'm able to encourage the next generation to do. But for me, my unique content was basically doing car reviews for Kenyans. That was the unique concept that I did.
Just as you have said, your content is very unique, and we don't have many guys in your field. So yes. Have you ever like doubted yourself? You are like, nobody is even doing what I'm doing. Any elements of self-doubt? Have you ever feel like giving up, something like that?
You in the early days, yes, because remember, motoring content was not big 10 years ago. It wasn't big, okay? But I had a mentor who trained me to be flexible, number 1. My first skill of trade was writing. So writing helps you come up with good conversations, all right? Then I went into TV, then I did radio, then digital. So 10 years ago, lifestyle content, especially about cars, wasn't that big. It took a little bit of convincing, but we were approaching that age when people are embracing new forms of entertainment, not your typical somebody was getting in. So not your typical way of doing content. So your dramas, your comedy, this was unique lifestyle content that was very unique. So it took a bit of convincing, but eventually it paid off. So there are elements. At times you could feel like you want to give up because nobody's buying into the idea. But based on where we were at the time, the globe was thinking about such content. So I was steadfast. I made sure that I kept on improving my skill, and it paid off.
When guys watch your program, they get to see maybe a 30-minute long episode, and even it's been hard finding you because you have been busy working. So I just want to know, like, one episode that guys see on TV or wherever, how long does it take, and what does it take to bring such an episode in terms of work, investment, and resources?
Thank you for asking. It takes a lot of work and time to just do this kind of episodes. We normally shoot, it's normally a 30-minute program, but it takes maybe 2 to 3 days to shoot one episode. And when I say shooting, it doesn't mean only just shooting. There's a lot of concepts in terms of pre-production. So you have to do your recce's, you have to know the car that you're reviewing, you have to write scripts, you have to plan for the shoot, then now post, which is very important. Post-production also plays a big role in having good quality content. And for me, I thank God because I'm able to do all that. So for me, planning and executing it is not a big issue, but it takes time, takes energy, because at the end of the day, you're trying to pass a message to the consumer. So what will they see? What is the end product that somebody would want to see if I'm reviewing a certain kind of car or brand?
Yeah. So again, guys will love to know, like, the most expensive cars that we have on Kenyan roads right now that you know of. Yeah.
There are quite a number. You can have from the very expensive Maybachs that are available. So you have Maybach 580, which is it's a limousine, V12 engine, fantastic car, goes for about 40 million bob. There is the GLS Maybach as well, 580, almost same amount of money. You have the G Wagons, G63M, G Black, 45 million. Bentley, Bentayga, W12 almost goes for the same amount of money. So the cap of the most expensive cars in the country right now about between 40 and 45 million, in my view.
Yeah. So just talking about that, maybe if you have information, people usually think that maybe these cars, they have to be owned by politicians. So according to you, what's the demographic of guys who have these cars? Are they maybe guys from politics? Are they businessmen? What are they?
So the people who can afford these cars are called high net worth individuals. So high net worth individuals, or HNI, they are very small percentage of our society. So they're the ones who are able to purchase these cars without any issues, right? But also remember, the car show is not only about high net worth individuals, it's also about the general motoring industry. A good example is the total vehicles sold in the country on average is about 120,000 vehicles. So this is a mixture of new and used cars, okay? So for new cars, which where these high net worth individuals are, only account for like 1% of the total volume. So the big chunk of people who watch these cars are the gray imports, or the imports from Japan or Singapore, which is roughly 100,000 units per year. That's where the market is, and that's primarily that drives our motor industry. So I don't shut out the gray import. I normally do reviews about some cars as well, because that's where everybody is and that's where the perception is. But also remember, the more expensive vehicles that are being sold in the country are aspirational. Aspirational meaning that you might be driving a Toyota, but you're assuming that if your life goes well, you want to drive an AMG, for example. So we try and bring these things that people want, they aspire to have, so that at least at the end of the day, you're able to see, I can achieve this if I work hard.
Yeah. Again, in Africa, we have seen that Toyota has a very big market share when it comes to selling of automobile. So according to you, what do you think this company, how do you think this company has been able to command like 70% of the market share when it comes to automobiles in Africa?
Toyota is a very interesting concept. It's not only in Africa, but globally. So Toyota's strong point is building reliable cars, and reliability plays a big role in any purchasing decision. So if we narrow down to Kenya, before 1994, Toyota wasn't big in the country. Really, it wasn't big because our market was a closed, controlled economy. So we could only import brand new cars. That is all the way up to 1994. But when the late President Moi opened up the market, it was called liberalization. Sorry for the confusion. So when the market was liberalized, then we had an influx of imported cars from Japan. And obviously we could see Toyota coming in because there were many. Now, the goodness about Toyota is the fact that the brand itself has really worked on its reliability, its efficiency, and availability of spare parts. Those are the strong points. So they can make a car that looks very bland, but you are assured that that car, when you wake up in the morning, it will start. So that has been the running call for Toyota. Now they have a thing called Kaizen, which is continuous perfection. Toyota hardly changes its engines and its parts. Then you do minor revisions because it's a formula that works. That's why many Kenyans love it. Number two, because of that, it has led the demand of the product to be high. When you have high demand, it means the prices will go up. That's why if you look at a particular segment of Toyota, say the small Vitz, for example, in that category, you have Mazda Demio, you have Honda Fit, but the Toyota will fetch a higher price simply because of those brand ethos, so reliability, efficiency, and resale value. So you find that at the end of the day, in every segment, the Toyota vehicle will always be slightly higher than the competition because of those factors.
Yeah, so we have companies also like Nissan, which I've seen Kenyans have also started really loving that cars from Nissan. So do you think it's possible right now for any company to outshine Toyota when it comes to market?
No, not at the moment, because that could have been done 20 years ago, but unfortunately it hasn't. Nissan had issues the last 20 years before they joined hands with Renault, because now it's like one company. They were bankrupt, so they didn't have good products, unreliable products to some extent. But now, because of the partnership with Renault, they are trying to improve that reliability aspect. And then also now there's a shift in the market. Maybe now, once you shift towards electric vehicles, perhaps Nissan might be ahead of Toyota. But that is also because Nissan invested earlier on in electric vehicles than Toyota. We've seen the Nissan Leaf, which has been in existence for 12 years now. One of the first full electric vehicles to run in the world, actually. So they have a bit of head start. So the only way Toyota would be outshined would be in the electric EV field.
Yeah, we can also talk about vintage cars in other countries. By watching documentaries, we have been able to see that there are guys who just love vintage cars and they purchase vintage cars. And of course, in Kenya, we can also see this. But where are we in this vintage market? Like, is it booming, or it's a market that we haven't embraced?
It's booming for a long, long time. In fact, if you know, every year there's that Concours d'Elegance, which is like a showcase of vintage cars in the country. And it's been there for 40 something years, close to 50 years. So it's been there. So the vintage car market is happening. There's vintage and there's classic. For your definition, a classic car, a vehicle can be classified as classic, and any vehicle that is less than 30 years old. So if your vehicle hits like 30, then it is considered a classic. And then once it reaches 50, then it goes into a vintage. So the market is big. We've seen Concours d'Elegance, normally organized by the Alfa Romeo Owners Club. they have quite a number of old cars, the old Bentleys, the old Austin Miners. We've seen even the old Fords, like the Model T. They've been perennial winners. And even Rolls Royces over here. And if you remember, the Nairobi County, the governor's car, official governor's car is a Rolls Royce. It's a vintage. So we carry that colonial way of doing things. So obviously the clubs are there. And it's a good market. It's very expensive if one wants to invest. Reviving such vehicles takes time, takes money. I remember doing a feature on somebody who revived an old BMW 2002, a car that was built in 1971. And this guy imported parts from Germany, from all over the world. So it's a very expensive hobby, but rewarding if you do it well.
For first-time car buyers, let's say
Yes.
somebody has an investment of like close to $1 million shillings for first-time car buyers, what are some of the best options of cars in the market that you can advise?
It depends. It depends because everybody's looking for something different. If you're a first-time buyer, then I would probably pick up a fuel-efficient hatchback. That one is easy to maintain. 2 is fuel efficient. 3, the cost price is affordable. 4, resale value is fantastic and it doesn't depreciate too much. And 5, it's safe for you and it's practical. So I'd look at those 5 things, very important. So let me just repeat again. Cost price. The second one is reliability. The third one is efficiency. The fourth one is practicality. The fifth one is safety. Those are the things I'd look at. And in that category, there are quite a number of cars. So from Toyota Vitz, Mazda 2, or it's here called Demio. You have Honda Fit, you have Peugeot 2008, you have Polo, Volkswagen, and many others. But from the trend where Kenyans are, people are looking at the top 4. So you're looking at Toyota Vitz, Mazda 2 or Demio, Honda Fit, and Volkswagen Polo, and also to some extent the Peugeot. So you're aiming at around that price. That's a price point. But obviously, because of the brand, Toyota will come number 1, obviously, because of the reasons I mentioned earlier. And then closely followed by Demio and Fit.
Still talking about first-time car buyers. You can also talk about how due diligence when purchasing a car, making sure that maybe you are not conned or something like that, because we have had stories of guys who have been conned. So what should somebody look out for?
It's pretty simple. When you identify a car, number 1, when you go to your yard, you have to do a physical check of the car. So when I say physical check, is to confirm that the vehicle that you're buying is in roadworthy condition. So you find some people sell cars that have had accidents before, they've been poorly repaired, and then you buy it, and then basically you're carrying over the problems that a vehicle with an accident has. So number 1 is to have a mechanical inspection report. So go to your local mechanic, ask them to, when you identify the car, go see the car. They'll do a physical inspection of the car. So they'll check the suspension, the general body work, if there's any dents. They'll check leaks from underneath the sump guard, and then just a general overlook of the car. But because these modern cars these days are modern, there's something called diagnostic report. So you plug in a computer that reads the brain of the car, and it will tell you every single fault of that car, and it gives you a printout. So armed with that, you're able to make a decision whether this car is good to go, or if it needs some work, how much will it cost to repair? And you can actually use that as a bargaining tool. You can actually say, listen, I did a report, diagnostic report. The printout says my sensor is out. The cost of a sensor is 10,000 bob. So can you knock off 10,000 shillings from the asking price? So you can use that. So that is one aspect, doing the mechanical and diagnostic to confirm the car is fine. Number 2, you have to do due diligence. You have to go to NTSA. The portal is called Teams. So basically it's a registry for cars in Kenya. So what you do, you pick the chassis number and the owner, the name of the owner. You go to Teams, it's 1,000 bob to do that. Click in, key in the chassis number of the car to verify the details of the owner. So when you go inside, it will tell you this car is black color, it's a Toyota Corolla. The owner is Trevor. this is his PIN number, and it has to verify with what you see. So once that is verified, it's verified by Teams, then you can go ahead. And now once you agree, have a sale agreement, or you agree that you're selling this car for this amount, and then you sign it, you have a witness, and then they do the transfer. Once the money has been paid, you do the transfer, which is immediate. You can go online, they'll transfer ownership from you to, or from the seller to yourself, and you get the physical logbook in about a month. So that is the general process.
Yeah, you do a review, and maybe people don't like it. We have critics. These are, and they may come to you with very mean comments. So have you ever dealt with that? How do you deal with that?
You see, in this world, you'll never find 100% of people liking you. There'll always be a third who like you, a third who are in the fence, and the third who don't like you. So the most important thing is to convince the 1/3 that are on the fence to like your review. So comments are taken positively. Obviously, we filter comments because, it's a society. People will always hate, but that doesn't stop me from doing what I do because it's well researched. And if people don't comment, it means you're not doing anything. It's part of the job, and you get used to it. Yeah, you just handle it that way. And then also you have to be respectful to your audiences. You don't do a back and forth with them. You let them be. Let them be. Your work speaks for itself. So one of the things that you learn in media school is how to engage. It's called public relations. So you don't engage without facts. Don't engage without you make them feel humane because they are your audience. So they don't need to necessarily like you, but you're producing content that they are watching. So meaning you're giving them some value. So if they have feedback, you take it positively. However negative it would be, you push on and you learn from it, and you pick what is important and discard the rest.
As we are finishing up, you can talk to us about maybe the most important lesson in your journey, and just give advice to maybe guys who are starting out in this field.
Well, the most important thing is never to give up. Have a plan for what you want to do. A lot of people make these decisions at the end of high school as you go to university. Have a plan. What do you want to do in life? Sometimes you might say, oh, I don't know, I'm still trying to figure things out. But for me, I had a plan from the word go. The plan involved a lot of sacrifices. Don't put money first. Perfect your skill and your trade, and money will follow. You start reaping the benefits 5 to 10 years from when you start. So when you're getting into something, don't expect to have rapid turnaround or instant results, but build your trade, learn from people, surround yourself with people who understand the industry, who want to teach you more things, the older generation, and you'll be able to learn a lot. Number 2 would be research. Research is always important. I read every day. I watch things every day to enhance my knowledge base, because all these things come in one day. This is an accumulation of a lot of work done to research, to know things. The thirst to learn more will help you become a better reviewer, a better presenter, and somebody who's well-rounded, and also opening up your horizons. Don't just think narrowly, I remember when I was starting out, I used to be a big fan of those Subarus and Evos. I'm a proper petrolhead. But I realized for me to speak to a wider audience, I have to change my perception. My mind has to change in terms of the people who love Subarus are like 1%. The people who just love general motoring are 99%. So how do you speak to the 99% without losing out the 1%? You have to learn your trade. You have to understand where the market is, and be dynamic. And then any opportunity that comes, push. Don't give up. Start with the low-hanging fruits. Right now, at least there are quite a number of platforms you can start. Technology has evolved from when I started. Mobile phones now are like your studio. You can edit, you can shoot 4K content. There's YouTube, you can post your stuff. There's Instagram. There are so many aspects you can actually try and use those low-hanging fruits to create your content. Be authentic, be your own style. You might watch Big Boy Trev on TV doing his way of doing reviews. Come up with your own way, all right? If you're somebody who's getting into the field of media production. Research, ask around, give Big Boy Trev a call. How do you create content? I will not refuse to help you, because for me, I look at it from a different perspective, that you need to have more people coming in, because at the end of the day, when my time is done, I will get out of the industry. So you have to leave a legacy behind. So for me, at the end of the day, it's all about perseverance, persistence, and reading, researching, and making things right.
Thank you so much for giving us your time. Have a good day.
It's a pleasure. You too, thanks. I appreciate it. And all the best in your TV show.
Thank you.
All right.